The Marauder gang simply isn't ready for another confirmed classic that I'm about to put out. I wanted to do this little reaction video to Tuna Scene, Brian and Vincent Fight, Fast and Furious 2001. This scene, it really speaks to me, you know? It's kind of, if I had to describe myself in one movie scene, it would probably be the tuna scene from the first Fast and Furious movie. Turn the sound off and just take you through the play-by-play of what's happening in this scene. So you got Brian coming up in the Ford Lightning, one of my dream cars, because just look at it. He pulls up. The music right now that's playing is the huppa-da, huppa-da, that music, you know what I'm talking about. So we pull up to Toretto's, obviously, Dominic Toretto's spot. So we got the love interest right here. And Brian comes to this tuna shop every day, and he orders the tuna with no crust. Even though the tuna sucks at Toretto's, he orders it every day. And basically what he's doing is this is his tactic at getting at Miss Toretto right here. Basically right now she's describing, you come in, you get the tuna no crust every day it's dog shit, and you still eat it. That's basically what she's saying right now. And then he goes, I'll take the tuna with no crust. And then we get our first sneak peek at the back of Dominic Toretto's big fucking head. What I just wanted to ask really quick is I wanted to get into this, and I wanted to just raise the question to everybody, just so we could hypothesize maybe in the comments about what possibly could have happened to Vin Diesel for the metamorphosis to happen to where he turned from looking like this, like a normal, I mean, he's handsome in this movie, to now. I know people are going to be like, oh, he just aged. There's certain things that age do, and then there's certain things that fucking human growth hormone do to your fucking skull and the muscles around your fucking head. What Vin Diesel went through is that Joe Rogan, Dana White thing, to where now he just looks like a fucking monster, and it's like you don't know where the fuck his face is going. So I just wanted to raise the question of, what do you think happened to where Vin Diesel went from looking like this to arguably looking like the ugliest human that's ever existed in the entire planet? So let's keep going here. Let's see what happens next. Oh, dude. It goes without saying how handsome Brian Spillner is. So he hands the sandwich, and then the teriyaki boys come in. So what I like about this is, so we got, what is that? S15, R32, and then you got the Volkswagen, and then what they got Vince in, who's our main, well, not our main antagonist, but one of the antagonists in this movie. You give him a Maxima, which doesn't really strike fear into anyone's eyes. I don't really understand why they'd give him that car. I mean, it's kind of hilarious that they gave him that car. Maybe that they wanted to make a joke out of it. But when I picture Vince, first of all, the face that this bitch makes throughout the whole movie really fucking grinds my gears. I remember I showed my girlfriend this movie for the first time, and all she could say was, why is she making that face? Why is she making that face? And I couldn't agree more. The face is ridiculous. I mean, look at this shit. And she's making this face throughout the whole entire movie. I just don't understand why this needs to be a thing. Like, I don't know what kind of acting that is. They should have just axed her from the movie the first time she did that shit. This guy's irrelevant, so we don't worry about him. Then we got Vince here coming out of the Maxima. It's really a disgrace that they gave him that car. And then they do the classic thing in every Fast and Furious movie where they got to remind you that it's a car movie. In this one, they do it a little bit less than the other movies because this one is actually kind of a car movie. But what they do in every Fast and Furious, including this one, is they open the hood of a car and they start talking like they know about cars, just so they remind the viewer, you're not fooling anyone, you're especially not fooling fucking Matt Marauder, all right? Talk about myself in the third person, and then Jesse's like, dude, your fucking turbo is broken, bro. Dude, you gotta fix the intake, bro. And then Vince spots him. Vince spots the Spillmobile, the Ford Lightning, so he's pissed right off rip. And then he sees, so basically, for those who don't know, Brian Earl Spillner's about to bag Dominic Toretto's sister, in about 20 minutes into the movie. Right now we're about 5 minutes in. Vince here has a crush on Dom's sister. So obviously when he sees the competition of the handsome ass Paul Walker, that's why he's also maybe because he's driving the Maxima. That could also be a factor in this, but let's keep it going. So this is when things really start to go awry here. Vince is pissed. He's basically challenging Spillner. Toretto, I mean, this bitch is making that face again. Watch this. Oh my God, guys, did you see that? And then this is my favorite scene where he goes, oh, he's handsome. And then the guy goes, I like his haircut. And that's my favorite part in the entire movie. This scene sucks. So Brian's walking out on him, and then Vince isn't tolerating the disrespect of Brian just walking out, not acknowledging him. So he basically follows him out. And he goes, why don't you take yourself down to Fatburger, get a double cheese and fries for $2.95. And then he says, I'm not going to say it, but he says faggot. And then Brian goes, I like the tuna here. Then he goes, oh no, he's saying, I like the tuna here. Bullshit, asshole. No one likes the tuna here. Watch your back. And then the fucking music starts playing, this music. Let me run it. Let's run through that one more time with the volume on. Burger from now on, you get yourself a double cheese with fries for $2.95, faggot. I like the tuna here. Bullshit, asshole. No one likes the tuna here. Yeah, well, I do. Watch your back. And then they start fighting. And she's like, Dom, get out there. And then they do the thing in every Fast and Furious movie again where they say, like, Dom, do something. And then Dom doesn't do it. And then they go, Dom. And then he does it after they yell his name. Dom's looking, he's like, what'd you put in that sandwich? Which is the dumbest fucking line they could have done. But of course, that's what they did because it's a Fast and Furious movie. He's chasing him out. This fucking girl. Dom's pulling him apart. He's separating it because he's the head honcho. So Vince kind of gets pressed this fight. He goes, you embarrassing me. He said, you embarrassing me, like an Italian. He reads the thing. He goes, driver's license. He goes, Brian Earl Spillner. That sounds like a serial killer name. Is that what you are? Which is actually hilarious that they put that in. And then he goes, nah, man, I work for Harry. And then he goes, you work for Harry? You would just fight. And that's basically the scene. And it's my favorite scene in cinema. So there you go. Also, while I got you guys here, I guess we might as well just react to the dumbass end scene in Point Break. And the only reason that this came to my mind is because I watched Point Break last year. And it was then that I realized that basically Fast and Furious 1 is just Point Break, but instead of surfing, they're just in cars. It's literally the same exact plot, which was really disappointing when I watched it. But I gotta say, Point Break is kind of on level playing field, in my opinion, with Fast and Furious 1. Just because Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze are in it, that kind of goats it just off rip. But I did want to talk about something that happens at the end of this movie. So, like, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but basically, they're surfers. And the main antagonist, which he's kind of like a good guy, but kind of a bad guy in this movie, but his name's Bodhi. And all he wants to do is fucking shred the last wave, man. The biggest wave. Because there's like this generational storm that comes around. So, okay. So he's a cop. And then Bodhi, the Patrick Swayze character, is the enemy. And at the very end of the movie, Keanu Reeves finally gets his guy. Finally gets Patrick Swayze. Also in the last clip, I just rewatched it back. And I called an S14 and S15. So it's an S14. It's my mistake. That's my fuck up. But where were we? He finally catches the bad guy. So he's got him here. But then they are kind of friends, even though they're enemies. It's one of those things. Kind of like a Dom and Brian relationship in the first movie. And fucking Swayze's like, dude, you can't take me to a jail. You can't lock an animal in a cage, man. I want to shred this final wave because the generational storm's coming around. So he's like, please, man, free me so I could shred the gnar and catch my last wave, brother. And then, so Keanu lets him go. And what I don't understand is basically he just goes out there and doesn't catch the wave and just immediately dies. So it's like, what is even the point of, look at this, bro. He just immediately gets swallowed by fucking Poseidon. Like, I don't understand why they would make this the ending scene to where he's like, let me fucking shred the last wave, man, and then just immediately dies. Like, he just swims out to his death. I just thought that was a little weird. Maybe it's something I'm not understanding, but I don't know. I just thought it was kind of lame and hilarious that he just goes out and dies when he wants to shred the gnar one last time. And that's it.